STLP Lunch and Learn today. Today we are going to be talking about. All right, I'm sharing my screen. A method of running your STLP that Ryan Shetler was kind of the poster boy for a few years back when he was at Auburndale Elementary. Okay, Ryan, I call this method the divide and conquer method because what happened was he had his STLP regional project kids. Um, he has also had his DPOJ kids. He had a really Brian. How many kids did you have in your STLP that year?
I mean, we had probably 12 kids that I pulled during classes, but I also used my computer classes to be able to work on those DPOJ projects as well.
Yeah, and so you would have kids devoted to just certain aspects of STLP, and they would kind of specialize in that, if I remember correctly. And that's why you like when you went to the state that year, you won several first and second place prizes in different categories, like GIS mapping and digital art and that kind of stuff. A bunch of DPOJ categories because you had kids that during their STLP time would work on those projects instead of practicing presenting the project.
Yeah. And so, well, kind of along with that, though, is so I realized a couple years in that everybody's going after this big prize. And I know that STLP is not about winning and it's about what the students learn. So sometimes I kind of have to like scoot back a little bit from that. But I'm also like, kids do enjoy winning. And I realized like the AIS mapping, like we won first place. And to be honest, we were the only persons that entered. And that's what I started realizing is all these like state competitions that are entered on the day of state tournament, like not a lot of people are entering those. So you're competing against 1 out of 5 people. And so to get first or second place, you're going to get first or second because you're the only one, or you're 1 of 2, or 1 of 5. And so that's kind of the secret in that. And so people have started picking up. And so the last couple of years, there are still a lot more, but it's not like you're competing against 700 teams like you are with the main group. So I do encourage. I know this year we're not going to have the state competitions, or they might just a different way. But when we get back to going to state, enter into those state competitions.
Yeah. So
So
here's kind of my thinking here is if you have this is my fictional STLP here. I've got 6 students in my STLP, right? And so what I might do is something like this. I might have 3 kids devoted to the regional project. So for this year, so these are your kids who are likely to be recorded speaking about your project in your elevator pitch. And so if you remember from last week, we talked about a good way to record your pitch would be to get on a Google Meet and record the meet. And so you've got your 3 kids on your Google Meet, and they're just pitching your project. And so then once that meet is recorded, you can just share that link with judges. Okay, so that's your regional team. They work on your elevator pitch. And then you've got 3 kids over here that work on different STLPs. So maybe one month they work on graphic design. Another month they work on digital art, or another week they work on digital art. So however you want to break that up, or different video projects. So you just kind of split those 6 kids into different groups, because I think what a lot of people struggle with is they try to find a role for like all 6 kids or 10 kids or 12 kids in a regional project. And when you got to state, you could only have, I believe, it was 3 or 4 of your best of your presenters, your kids speaking about your project at your board. And so then you had like 6 or 7 kids that just they put in all this work or whatever, but they couldn't actually talk about the project. They just kind of had to be on the periphery. But so if you break up your STLP like this, where you've got your regional project team and you've got your DPOJ team, everybody has a role, and everybody has a chance at winning different uh, aspects of STLP, because STLP is such a large endeavor. It's not just a regional project. You've got all kinds of categories that you could devote your kids to and take a chance at winning. So that's one way to do it is that. And another way I was thinking about this doing is if you've got 6 kids, maybe you have a regional team, of 2 kids. You've got your DPOJ team, and then you've got like a Minecraft team. Maybe these are your kids; they're your Minecraft kids, and they work specifically on the Minecraft challenge. Now that doesn't come out till later in the year, but last year it was some sort of Mars Academy challenge. So there was a specific thing they had to build in Minecraft. Maybe you have kids devoted to that Minecraft competition in your STLP, right? So that's just breaking up your STLP into 3 different groups, and it's all up to you. But one thing Ryan did, if we could take a look at what his board from a few years back, I went back in my Twitter and I tried to find a good picture of your bulletin board. You can kind of see it in the back there. Um, there's your badge board in the back, and then in the right next to it, which is like way over in the top right corner, above your blue poster board or blue board here, there's like a bunch of DPOJ rubrics in the top corner, and that was the board I really wanted a picture of. I just could not find a picture of it in my Twitter archive. But yeah, so you had different DPOJs, so your kids would go to that board and they'd look, okay, here's the rubric for digital art. This is what I have to do for digital art. And then they would, sit down and they try to create something digital art. Here's the rubric for infographics. And they would look at that rubric and they would say, okay, I'm going to try to create an infographic. But if you look at this Auburndale Elementary Compost, it's too good to waste project here. In this corner where it says creativity and innovation, they said we made videos, we created posters, we do Auburndale newscast. All of these things that they're doing are DPOJs, okay? But they're part of your larger project, right, Ryan?
Yes.
So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So again, and that's kind of what we're trying to do this year is go down through the DPOJ list and don't just make a digital art project about anything, like make your digital art project about your main project. And so all those things that you're doing in DPOJ add to, so when we did a PSA, our PSA was about food waste in this case, so whatever your main project is, do a PSA about that. So now you got a PSA video that you can enter, because that was the thing that like the first year that I did STLP, I was like, you mean we did all this work and we only got judged on a 4-minute presentation? Like, I was like, nobody even saw our video. And so so then when that stuff started coming up, I'm like, oh, our 4-minute video can be entered into that project and we can get judged on that video about this project. So trying to work all that stuff together, it builds your product. Because then, I mean, the judges were just kind of blown away, like, what, you did this, and we had pictures of all this stuff, and we had small videos that we could show, clips and stuff, and then those were also being rewarded too for being in the projects.
Yeah, so because you did all these videos and posters, it actually made your larger regional project better. So that's just connecting those DPOJs to the regional project, what made your project even better. And so if we look, here's a kid. If you want to talk about this kid, Ryan, he's making looks like a flyer.
Yeah, so this was the year before. He was trying to make a flyer they wanted to do the Humane Society. And so they were trying to make coupons and stuff so that we could take to the Humane Society and work with them. So that's the other thing too, is partnership. And I know that came up last week of, can we partner with people in the area? And absolutely, yes. Like, your project is almost not going to win if you're not partnering with somebody else. So you got to have a community partner in your project.
And so stuff like this could be entered into like a graphic design category, possibly. There might be other categories you could fit that into as well.
Yeah, and this was an assignment for my whole class. So it's kind of like, here's the assignment for the whole class. And those kind of things, that's my daughter walking around in the background. Those kind of assignments too, like, it's just good as a regular assignment. Like, hey, the best 2 in the class are going to make it to, like, I'm going to submit the best 2. So then it gives kind of buy into the assignment of, like, you're not the only person who's going to see this. Like, my work, like, that was one thing, digital art. A lot of times I was like, hey, let's make a digital art for a t-shirt, and we're going to choose the best design, and then that's going to be our STLP t-shirt. So then it's like, wow, like, my design gets to go on the t-shirt. Yep. So kids have a little bit more buy-in when they see that you're not the only person going to see it.
Cool. Great idea. Here's another one from that same year, kid working on, I guess you said it was a whole class project. So this was just another kid in the class. And you kind of get to see how they do different designs, and you would pick maybe the best 2 to go on to that graphic design category, right?
Yeah.
All right. And then here you see that he's doing the same thing. He has that competition of, we're going to see who's going to be the scratch ambassador for our Auburndale STLP. And so the kids were competing in scratch to see who could, what were they building here, Ryan?
It was one of the games. I had gotten a scratch book from a bookstore one time, and they had the different games going through there. So they were creating a game.
And so, yeah, you would just host challenges amongst your students to determine who will represent your STLP. So, another good example of that would be Quick Tech Recall. You can only have 2 kids entering Quick Tech Recall. Maybe you host a Kahoot amongst your 6 kids or 10 kids or whatever. And, the top 2 finishers in that Kahoot would be your Quick Tech Recall um, uh, uh, representatives, right?
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
there's just too many students in your school to only be taking 4 people to state and to be entering into this stuff. So, I mean, Jeff Sobalski has done a really good job of like STLP is not just a club, it's your whole school. And so like getting more kids involved, like anybody in your classes can go if they win one of these projects or whatever.
Yeah, and you did a good job of actually, like you said, making it part of your class too. STLP was part of your class, which is excellent. So let's use the project I've been my fake project this year has been this Minecraft virtual playground, which the whole idea is, kids cannot gather in large groups on a physical playground. So how are you going to solve that? We're going to build a virtual playground in Minecraft and invite students to come to that virtual playground and congregate and play with each other and do whatever. So let's look at that project from this lens, right? So how could that lead to different DPOJs? Well, you could have kids design posters or flyers or even a logo for your Minecraft virtual playground, and you could enter that into the graphic design category, right? You could do a PSA, public service announcements, and it's got to be 15, 30, or 60 seconds, persuading students to visit your virtual playground, right? You could create a brochure about your virtual playground. Hey, we have this awesome slide, or we have a great water feature. As much as I hate the word brochures, but yeah, you could do that, or a presentation for that matter, and that's e-publishing. Okay. You could even do a screen capture tutorial. It seems kind of mundane, but you could do this. How to join your Minecraft virtual playground. You should show kids, well, this is how you get to our Minecraft virtual playground. You have kids record that as a screen capture, and you enter that in that screen capture tutorial category. You do the same thing for technical writing, but instead of doing it in a screen capture, here are the steps. 1, you go to the internet. 2, you type in our website, that kind of thing. So it's just technical writing. You give them the steps to join the virtual Minecraft virtual playground. So these are all different DPOJs that could be built off of your regional project. In this case, this fake Minecraft virtual playground project. All right. Where do you find opportunities for DPOJs? You find them on the STLP super sheet. Okay. And that's just this sheet here where you've got all of the different DPOJs. They are in green, and you can see the rubric for those and how many entries per school you can have, whether it's a team or an individual project. And they're right here. And there's a little bit of description over there as well for you on each of those DPOJs. So that's the STLP super sheet. And then, so let's go back to the Ryan Shetler method here. I think I got everything on this presentation. Yep, that's it. So that's basically, dividing your kids to get the most maximum impact with STLP. I'm gonna go stop presenting now. Any questions on that? Thoughts?
You're on the
I love the way you laid out the DPOJs all being a part of the bigger project. But just for anybody here who's like, okay, that seems a little too overwhelming for my first time, or we got a late start, you can still do the traditional project, and DPOJ is something separate or something like your art teacher did and you're submitting them. But so you can do this combined is a great strategy, but also you don't have to do it that way, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you don't have to do it that way. This is just a way of one thing I don't want STLP to be is I don't want STLP to turn into program review, where it's like, it's like, if you remember program review, they put one teacher in charge of that. Then you had to go run around the school taking pictures of bulletin boards and like beg this teacher for, what they did in October or whatever. That should not be STLP, right? But these things, it's great if you've got that art teacher that's been doing digital art, and I'm sure they have been doing it this year, that can submit those projects to you and say, hey, we're going to have a competition in art class, and the best two, are going to be entered, that kind of stuff. But yeah, but you can do it that way. The whole school is obviously the best way, but you can also kind of have these built-in entries through your STLP, where your STLP does digital art projects and graphic design projects and infographics. And the more projects you have to choose from, the better, because then you have better chances of winning, right?
Yeah. And I know they're not called gold clarity coaches, or I don't think they're called gold clarity coaches anymore, but
yeah,
whoever's in that position, even talking to them and showing them that STLP sheet, because the backpack is a big thing. And so if you can talk to them about teaching some of those in the EPDs that they have with the teachers, so now the teachers are all getting that information. And again, it's another contest that they can have in their classrooms, and then you can start pulling those out, and then you are getting the whole school involved through whoever that person is called. Now,
yeah, the AIC, Academic Instructional.
There you go.
A good example of that last year was Great House Elementary. Their fourth grade science teacher did a unit on, I think it was endangered species or something, and the kids had to build a website, giving information about these endangered species. And so that science teacher they picked their two best websites that the kids created, and those went on to be in the I think it was the e-publishing category.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they can come from anywhere. They can come from classroom teachers. They can come from art teachers, technology teachers, librarians. Anywhere in your building, DPOJs can come from.
And that was great. Ryan brought up backpack artifacts, because that's the thing. This STLP project definitely should be a backpack artifact for those students. And it'll be something they have unique that other students in their grade level might not have. Same with the DPOJs.
Yep. Are there any questions about what I presented today, or anything STLP related at all? If you haven't been to one of these yet, this is you can ask any question you want about STLP. It doesn't have to be about what I presented today. If you've got any question, you can ask that at this time. So I'll wait a little bit to see if there's a question. If not, I have one more thing I want to show you. Any questions? Going once. Going twice. All right, I'm going to show you this. So what you should be doing right now with STLP, as far as deadlines go, on the STLP website, and this was in that 3 things email, you go to regionals, you can scroll down, and then you're going to click that register part 1 by November 20th. And all this does is reserve your project spot for regionals. Okay, so you would type in your email address, you would say you're from Jefferson County, you would do your school name, your first name, your last name, and then how many projects you're going to do an elevator pitch for. Okay, you can do up to 3 unless you're a gold school, and whether you're a gold school or not. Those who are gold know they're gold. They've been doing STLP a while, but usually most of you probably gonna do 1 project. And then from there, you just would list your judge. So either you're going to be the judge, which is generally the case, or somebody else in your school act as your judge. But most of the time, it's just you. Then after that, you just hit next, and it'll ask you to submit, and that's it. So you're not have to provide like any kind of project info. Like if you're still like, we don't know what we're going to do yet, it's not a worry. Don't worry about that. That's not this. Do this now, okay? Because it's due November 20th. Worry about all that project info, what the title of the project's going to be, and all that later on December 11th. That's when you're going to submit that info. So go ahead and register now, and then you'll be set for submitting again on December 11th.
So Russ, that is the group project?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know that I have a group project yet, because I didn't build it the way that Ryan did. I like that idea, but I have several digital storytelling individuals. So what I need to try to do is convince some of my fifth graders to take that theme to a group project, so I stay consistent with them all being on the same page.
Right. Yeah, and so maybe you
Right.
part of your project is you got a Google site where you have all those different digital stories where kids can go and they can read each other's digital stories, and maybe they upload digital stories, so it's kind of like an online e-library
Mhm.
for Rangeland students. Okay,
I like that.
so that would be a great regional project.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And
All
that
right.
one's great too, because just the numbers, like that's the other thing too, is like things need to be quantified in those big project things. And so you can say like, we started this online story writing, and we got 500 students to be able to publish a story. You know,
That
like
would be great.
those kind of things. You know, like so one student, you know, if each student in your school that wrote a story, and you're going to have some students that write multiple ones, or you know, and then if it even goes farther than your school, you know, like that would be, it's a great project.
Yep. All right. Any other questions before I let you go, guys? All right. Thank you for joining me today. Remember, these are uploaded on the JCPS STLP website under the Lunch and Learn section. Okay. And that's always linked in that 3 things email I will send you every Monday as well. So thanks, guys. See you later.